It's not easy, I imagine, becoming a national news story, just as Erin Maye Quade did. She is running for Senate District 56 in the primary. And, of course, if you missed the news, she was at the convention for the district and the endorsing convention, and basically she went into labor, had to withdraw from that, but has decided to go to the primary for Senate District 56, which is, by the way, if there ever was a mulligan to skip the convention and go to the primary, it was this. Erin Maye Quade is kind enough to join us as Democrat of the Day today. Hi, Erin. How are you?
Thanks so much for having me.
My pleasure. Is Harriet and Elise and you all doing okay?
Yeah, we are. Harriet had a little bit of jaundice. I had postpartum preeclampsia, which is actually pretty scary and dangerous, but we're all healed, we're all healthy, and we're managing, a few hours of sleep here and there.
I know, and I know you're going through. I've got 3 kids, so I know it's a tiring thing. All my best to you, and congratulations. That's just wonderful. And like I said, it must have been a little bit wow that all of a sudden everyone from the LA Times to London Times, everyone was covering that story.
It was, we were in the hospital. I was delivering Harriet. And so we came out of the hospital like 4 or 5 days later and then learned that this had traveled, around the world. So we appreciated the well wishes, and, Hattie really got to come into the world in a really glorious, grand way. But it was really surprising to see how far that story traveled.
And by the way, Hattie is adorable. That's such an adorable day. It is. Oh, congratulations on that. And getting to the politics thing. I mean, the thing which was nice is there were maybe 1 or 2 grumblings, but I don't think anyone, if there ever was to say, okay, go to the primary, this is the case. I don't think, I'm kind of glad people aren't making a big deal out of it, because as I've always said, the process is to go to the primary anyway. That's always an option. And so in this case, though, I think it's a no-brainer that, the decision couldn't be made at the convention, unfortunately, but then you go to the primary, and that's where you'll get the decision made.
Yeah, absolutely. And even that day, I had asked my opponent, can we suspend and go to the primary? Because I can't keep doing balloting. I'd been in labor since 2 a.m., and I was coming up on 12 hours, and it just was really clear I wouldn't be able to finish that convention and see through to an endorsement.
We have a lot of issues here, and I think when we look at this upcoming election, the thing that is very clear is we have got a very stark reality if the Republicans take over. And the Senate, especially with the redistricting that happened, frankly, the DFL has a very good chance of picking it up, but we need to get all the seats we can, including this seat. I'm going to just bring up some of the issues we've seen here, because the state Republican Party has echoed a lot of what's going on the national level and said that's going, the state Republican Party is going to follow the National Republican Party lead. Let's start with, unfortunately, the tragedy yesterday in Texas. We clearly need some common sense gun regulations in this country, but yet Republicans are they're doing thoughts and prayers and offering very little else in the way of trying to stop the slaughter of young children in this country.
Yeah, and this was an issue when I was a state representative, right? I led a sit-in with a number of other legislators to protest inaction against gun violence, and still nothing moved, right? And this was the anniversary of Columbine had just happened, Parkland had just happened, and if we can't, 90% of Minnesotans support background checks on all gun sales. I think it's like 86% support red flag laws. These are widely accepted common sense proposals, and what is in the way is Republican leaders who are, still doing their deal with the gun lobby and refusing to take these measures to keep us safe. And, people have had enough. The grief, the trauma, the horror. Just seeing it today and yesterday, that's 19 babies that didn't get to go home to their mamas yesterday. And I was holding my own baby, and it is a lot, right? And we have to have action. We have to see action, and something has to be done. And if Republicans won't do anything, then they need to be voted out of office. DFLers need to be in control so that we can actually move some of these policies.
You speak of it on that level, and I can so relate to that. I remember when Newtown happened, and I sat there just trying to hold in the tears as the school bus came. I just wanted my kids off that bus. I wanted them in my arms. I wanted that done. Red Lake, when that slaughter happened, this has happened over and over again. And like I said, once you become a parent and something like this happens, when you see this, it's that terror of, oh my God, because I guarantee you no one in Uvalde, Texas sent their kids to school today thinking that was going to be what happened to that day. And it just is just horrific when we see this happen time and time again.
And it's been 10 days since the Buffalo shooting,
Yes.
right? So we've bookended this week with, grandparents getting vegetables at the grocery store to children, going to their last few days of school, which, let's be honest, are the most fun days. You're almost done. It's summer. And that cannot be the reality we continue to live in. And what I worry about is that there's a lot of despair. I see that certainly a lot of despair, and despair lies to us and tells us that there's nothing we can do. There is something we can do, right? This is not an unsolvable problem. We just have to have the political will and courage to mobilize and organize and vote, and then hold leaders accountable to make sure that we're moving policies and changing culture, because that is part of this as well.
Another national issue, which you're seeing a lot of state Republicans start to echo, the impending repeal of Roe v. Wade by the Alito decision on the court here. It comes down to control. This is not about life. I mean, clearly, I don't think a lot of Republicans really, they scream they care about life, but they have a very, erratic track record on that. But the reality is this, once again, it seems to be all about controlling women and controlling women's bodies. And I find this just offensive that here we are yet once again.
It is. It is about power and control. You're exactly correct. And I think one of the scary parts about living through this really horrible time is that none of it feels real because it's so bad. When we listened to the oral arguments in December, it was very clear that this court intended to overturn Roe v. Wade. In fact, I've spent the last 3 years leading Unrestricted Minnesota, the largest reproductive health rights and justice coalition in the state, because this was coming and we knew that. And people should understand that it is not just abortion. It is birth control. It is marriage equality. It's interracial marriage. It's all of the things that allow us to make our families and live our lives in this country. That's what they're going after. So it starts with, Roe v. Wade and abortion, but all the other things are being lined up like dominoes to fall after it. And falling into this authoritarian state, it's happening in real time. It's kind of like a slow burn. Mm-hmm. And folks really need to understand that this is, we are about to lose so many things that we hold dear, these fundamental rights to make our families and live our lives in ways that are real and authentic to us, and have that stripped away and that power and control returned to a minority of elected officials who want to control our lives, control our bodies, and control what we do.
And your point is spot on. There are Republicans in the state of Minnesota who have not only said we're going to ban abortion and make it a crime and arrest women, even in the cases of rape and incest and the life of the mother, but on top of that, they've already started. There are Republicans who are floating the idea that they're going to make birth control illegal in the state of Minnesota.
Yep, and we should understand what this already looks like in other states. So, there are people who show up at hospitals who are having miscarriages, who are being turned away because doctors are afraid of treating people who are experiencing miscarriage to be prosecuted for performing an abortion. So this is already having a chilling effect, impacting the health of people across the country. People will die. Pregnancy is very, I'm proof positive. I had postpartum preeclampsia that is incredibly dangerous. Pregnancy itself can be very dangerous, and forcing people to remain pregnant, give birth, criminalizing the people who perform abortions or who deliver children or serve pregnant people, this is going to endanger so many people. And in Minnesota, so if Roe v. Wade is overturned, we will still have legal abortion, but all the states around us won't. And so we're about to see an influx of people coming to Minnesota to receive care, and we do not have the resources and providers and clinics to serve that many. We don't even have them to serve the Minnesotans who need that care, let alone all of the states around us. So it's really a precarious situation that we're about to enter into in June.
Erin Maye Quade is joining us, Senate District 56 Democrat of the day, running for the primary there for the DFL side. Let's actually turn in a little bit more towards your district. What are some of the? First of all, how much did the district change with the redistricting?
Not a ton. We lost 2 precincts from Lakeville. We lost Coates, and then a small portion of Rosemount, gained a portion of Egan, which I was really happy to gain because it's my, I went to ECU High School, and so it's the part of Egan that goes to ECU High School. So I'm really excited to have them and welcome them to the district.
What are some of the issues that you want to champion for 56?
So reproductive health rights and justice, certainly. Climate justice is so important. Education. I mean, I went to the schools here. I'm a graduate of ISD 196 schools. My teachers still live in this district. My friends teach in this district. If we don't fully fund our schools at the state level, cover the special education gap, we are not setting young people up for success. And then serving our families. So paid family medical leave, fully funded childcare, universal pre-K, gun violence prevention. These are the things that I want to focus on. And then the final one is serving our veterans. That is a passion of mine, and I hope to continue to serve on the Veterans Committee in the State Senate.
As a veteran, I say thank you for that. I know you've got a very good track record there. I'm a person who served in the U.S. Army, so I pay attention to that. By the way, I was in your district substantially this last weekend. My daughter had a soccer tournament over there. And I was over there. You know, one of the things that's really interesting is I was over and it came in on 52, about 145th Street there, so kind of the southeastern side of your district. And there still is there's a lot of growth going on. Good growth, too. Great looking subdivisions. You got a lot of, the residual businesses that are coming in to help and build those communities. Talk about that. I mean, because as you look at that, there is a lot of growth area over there on that east side. Lots of potential. But once again, it's kind of making sure that it gets developed correctly.
Yeah, and I will say Apple Valley certainly has a great track record of building mixed income housing. So we'll build, big houses, and we'll build some townhomes on the outside and some apartments right around that. And so one of the things that I love about this community is that we have mixed income housing all throughout the city, and that kids are going to school with neighbors that, make the same amount as their parents do, that don't make the same amount as their parents do, and learning together and living together. The district is increasingly diverse. 1/3 of the kids who go to school here are kids of color. So we have a lot of growth, certainly, like you mentioned, in housing, in diversity, in businesses, which is wonderful. And it's a growing, thriving suburb. I mean, I've lived here my whole life. And when my parents moved here, they said it was cornfields and Apple Valley High School.
Yeah.
It is certainly a lot more than that now.
Well, it's just so funny you say that. When I was born, my mom lived down in Apple Valley. I was down there, and you can kind of tell where those old houses were. The rest of it was Apple Valley. There was not much there. It has grown well, and one of the things that I love about Apple Valley, Rosemont as well, it's the world that we want. I mean, I live in Hopkins. It's the same thing. True diversity, true opportunity, a middle-class life that is available to everyone. This is not something that is available in a lot of places. And the development that's happened in Apple Valley and Rosemont, they have done it well to where you do definitely see that world we're supposed to inherit, where equal opportunity does exist.
Absolutely. And you have to give credit not only to city, county leaders, but also to the community members who've organized so well in Rosemount and Apple Valley and in Eagan to make sure that as we grow, we build the things we want. So there's, climate justice task force at the city level. There's people who are organizing to make sure that we have, pollinators and that we're building sustainably. I mean, these are really, really local organizers that are doing this work, and it's part of why we have such great communities.
You do have the Minnesota Zoo in your district, don't you?
Yes, we do.
Oh, Hattie's going to love that. Okay, so, when you take her in there, I mean, I had one, my oldest is a son, and the other two were girls, and I took them in, and when I took them in, if they ever have a baby tapir, holy God, is that about the most cutest? I mean, that is sickly sweet how adorable a baby tapir is. If you get the chance to take Hattie to if they have one, by all means, please do. You'll thank me for it.
Well, and I'll tell you, every kid who's grown up in Apple Valley knows that one of the rites of passage every year, like K through 12, is the walk you take from your school to the zoo for your day at the zoo. And so I'm really looking forward to volunteering on those field trips with Hattie. They just built this beautiful treetop walkway that's gorgeous and is going to be incredible. And they're revamping so many parts of the zoo. It's just going to be a fabulous part of our whole family's life. I mean, we're members of the zoo already, so we can't wait to keep going.
I'm a member of the zoo too. It's worth it, and it's nice to have someone like you would be such a great advocate for the zoo in St. Paul as well.
Yes, I've carried the bonding bill to fund the zoo, and will continue to advocate for these wonderful projects that are in the district. I mean, it's our state zoo. It's a priority. for all legislators, but certainly for me.
Well, and get ready. Hattie will love when they do the Halloween thing with the pumpkins. Oh, she'll love that.
Oh, my gosh. That is so incredible, that talent. Yes, we go every year.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well, all right. So once again, there is a primary coming up. What's the date on the primary?
So the primary is August 9th. Early voting starts on June 24th.
All right.
So we will be having early voting events. People can check out the website, erinmayquade.com. But yes, August 9th is the primary. Make sure you vote. Make sure you vote, early. We always say we want people to vote early because that way you get it out of the way and make sure nothing like, going into labor 2 weeks early comes up on August 9th and you can't vote. Just, make sure you vote and get out of the way.
Okay, by all means, there is a reason. There is a benefit here. Erin Maye Quade, ErinMayeQuade. I'll link to everything on social media a little bit later on. Erin Maye Quade, I said this last time you were on the air. I'm glad you're running again. All my best in the primary, and all my best to your family. Fantastic.
Thanks so much. Look me up next time you're in Apple Valley. I'll come watch a soccer game.
Oh, by all means. All right, and we'll go to the zoo. Oh,
you go.
I might have to get Hattie something at the zoo. I miss when my girls were little and I'd buy them something. Oh, I'll talk to you about that, okay?
Sounds good. Have a great rest of your day.
You too. Erin Maye Quade joining us.